They wrote me off, but I ain't right back though." It was a quick response, a simple phrase. But behind those words lay nearly 10 years of struggle, doubt, and perseverance. Geno Smith entered the NFL with sky-high expectations, a quarterback with the talent to lead a franchise. But in this league, talent isn't always enough. The game moves fast. The critics move faster, and if you don't live up to the hype, you get left behind. He was drafted to be the future. Instead, he became an afterthought, benched, injured, forgotten. Years passed. The league moved on. The world stopped saying his name. But Geno, he never stopped working, never stopped preparing for the moment they told him would never come. And then, it did. This is not just a football story. This is a story of resilience, a story of defying the odds. This is the rise, fall, and resurgence of Geno Smith. Geno Smith was born on October 10, 1990, in Miramar, Florida. From the moment he could walk, he was surrounded by sports. His family tree was filled with athletes. His great-grandfather, Danny Smith, was an All-American track star at Florida State, and his cousin, Melvin Bratton, had been a standout running back for the University of Miami before making his way to the NFL. In South Florida, where football is more than just a game, Geno was growing up in the heart of one of the most competitive breeding grounds for future stars. But talent alone was never enough. Geno learned that early. As a child, he wasn't just playing football in the backyard, he was studying it. He watched games with his family, dissecting plays, memorizing movements. While other kids were dreaming about playing in the NFL, Geno was preparing for it. His mind worked differently. He had an obsession with details, always looking for ways to improve his game. That mindset carried him into Miramar High School, where he quickly made a name for himself under head coach Damon Cogdell. As a junior, he passed for 2,200 yards and threw 25 touchdowns, leading his team to multiple wins that put him on the radar of college recruiters. But for Geno, that wasn't enough. He wanted to leave no doubt. In his senior year, he took his game to another level. He threw for 3,089 yards, 30 touchdowns, and led Miramar to the Florida 6A state semifinals, a stage where only the best of the best in the state compete. His precision, arm strength, and poise in the pocket stood out. He didn't just make plays, he controlled the game. Every decision, every throw was calculated. It was clear, Geno Smith was special. The football world took notice. He was named a Parade All-American and was invited to the Elite 11 quarterback camp, where the top high school quarterbacks in the country competed against each other. Among future NFL talents, Geno shined. He was recognized as one of the best young quarterbacks in the nation, proving he belonged with the elite. With offers from some of the top college programs in the country, including Alabama, Florida State, and Boston College, Geno made a decision that would shape the next phase of his journey. He committed to West Virginia University. At the time, the Mountaineers were known for their high-powered offense and exciting playmakers. But Geno wasn't just another talented recruit, he was stepping into a program that had just moved on from Pat White, one of the most electrifying dual-threat quarterbacks in college football history. The expectations were sky-high. When he arrived in Morgantown in 2009, he wasn't given the keys to the offense right away. He sat behind senior Jarrett Brown, learning, watching, preparing. It didn't take long for the coaching staff to see that they had something special. In his first real opportunity as a starter in 2010, Geno proved that West Virginia had made the right choice. He passed for 2,763 yards, threw 24 touchdowns, and completed nearly 65% of his passes. By 2011, he had taken full control of the team. That season, he shattered West Virginia's single-season passing records, throwing for 4,385 yards and 31 touchdowns. He wasn't just putting up big numbers, he was dominating defenses. That year, West Virginia earned a spot in the Orange Bowl, a major postseason game, and Geno had the biggest performance of his career. On January 4, 2012, under the bright lights of the Orange Bowl, Geno Smith played the game of his life. Facing Clemson, one of the top teams in the country, he put on an absolute clinic, throwing for 401 yards and 6 touchdowns. West Virginia obliterated Clemson 70-33, setting a record for the most points ever scored in a major bowl game. Geno was named MVP, cementing his legacy as one of the greatest quarterbacks in West Virginia history. His final year in 2012 only solidified his reputation. He passed for 4,205 yards, 42 touchdowns, and completed 71% of his passes. He finished his college career with 11,662 passing yards and 98 touchdowns, making him one of the most statistically dominant quarterbacks in NCAA history. By the time he declared for the 2013 NFL Draft, Geno Smith was projected as a first-round pick. Some analysts even believed he could be the first quarterback off the board. He had the arm, the accuracy, and the intelligence to succeed at the next level. But in the NFL, expectations don't always match reality. Geno Smith was about to learn that the hard way. Geno Smith sat quietly in the green room of Radio City Music Hall on draft night 2013. Each pick announced without his name felt heavier than the last. Projected as a first-rounder, Geno watched as the first round closed without him. Doubt crept in. His dream was suddenly tainted by humiliation. When the New York Jets finally called his name at pick number 39, relief battled disappointment inside him. The chip on his shoulder had just grown heavier. His rookie season was a roller coaster, a clash between promise and pain. In his very first NFL game against Tampa Bay, he led the Jets to a dramatic victory, showing flashes of the player he could be. But as the season unfolded, interceptions began piling up, 21 total, and the bright lights of New York intensified every mistake. Fans and media weren't patient. Criticism became deafening. Geno, always his own harshest critic, felt the pressure squeezing the joy from the game he loved. By his second year, confidence was shaken. Every throw felt weighted with doubt. He started the season with optimism, determined to silence critics. But the Jets were struggling, and the city was unforgiving. In one brutal game against the Buffalo Bills, Geno threw 3 interceptions in just one quarter, recording a quarterback rating of 0.0. He was benched, and as he watched from the sideline, the realization hit him hard: his NFL dream was slipping away. In 2015, as Geno prepared to fight for redemption, disaster struck unexpectedly. In an altercation over an unpaid debt, a teammate punched Geno in the locker room, fracturing his jaw. The injury sidelined him for crucial weeks, but worse than the physical pain was the emotional toll: the media circus, the humiliation, and the perception that Geno couldn't lead. He felt isolated, misunderstood, betrayed. The narrative surrounding him hardened. Geno Smith was a bust, a failed experiment. His 4th season marked the end of his tenure with the Jets. A knee injury during a promising performance against the Ravens cut short his comeback attempt. For Geno, it felt cruelly symbolic, a moment of hope extinguished by fate. Leaving the Jets at the end of that year wasn't just about changing teams. It was about surviving. He had learned harshly that the NFL wasn't just talent versus talent. It was mental toughness versus crushing pressure. Yet, despite all he faced in New York, Geno left with a quiet resolve. He refused to let the city's verdict become his own. He knew, deep down, he still had something to offer. His story was far from over. New York might have been a harsh teacher, but it had forged a resilience that he'd carry forward. If you've ever found yourself rooting for the underdog, or if Geno's story of resilience strikes a chord, make sure you hit that like button right now. And to see how Geno turned it all around, trust me, you'll want to subscribe, because his journey is only getting started. In 2017, Geno found himself signing with the New York Giants, a backup now. His star dimmed, but his resolve stronger than ever. For Geno, the role was humbling. Each day at practice was a mental battle, fighting the feeling of invisibility while supporting Eli Manning, a franchise legend. Yet, Geno embraced it. He absorbed everything he could from Eli, every detail, every habit, hoping to reignite his NFL journey. In Week 13, the Giants made a controversial move, naming Geno Smith the starting quarterback. The decision ended Eli Manning's 210 consecutive game streak, causing backlash from fans and media alike. Geno suddenly found himself in the middle of a storm, criticized before he even stepped onto the field. His chance felt poisoned from the start. Despite the controversy, stepping onto the field that day carried profound meaning. He became the first black quarterback to start a game in Giants history, a historic milestone overshadowed by public outcry. Geno played solidly but lost the game. The following week, Eli reclaimed his position. Geno's brief moment in the spotlight faded, leaving him feeling misunderstood and unfairly judged. The next stop was Los Angeles, signing as a backup with the Chargers in 2018. Opportunities were minimal. He watched Philip Rivers excel, remaining ready but rarely seeing action. Days turned to weeks, and frustration simmered beneath his professionalism. He had fallen from potential franchise quarterback to afterthought, a painful truth Geno grappled with silently each day. He often found himself questioning everything. Was it worth it? Could he truly revive his career? But whenever doubt crept in, Geno leaned on his relentless determination. This wasn't how his story would end. Even in obscurity, his preparation intensified, believing that when another opportunity came, and he knew it, would he be ready. At the close of 2018, Geno was at another crossroads. He'd learned patience and humility, qualities forged by adversity. Leaving Los Angeles, he knew he was running out of chances. But Geno Smith was ready to bet everything on himself one last time, determined to reclaim his narrative. In 2019, Seattle offered Geno a lifeline, a chance to back up superstar quarterback Russell Wilson. Geno took it eagerly, fully aware he wouldn't play much. But to him, Seattle was more than just a new city. It represented a fresh start, free from past labels, away from the noise. Behind Wilson, Geno became a student again. Watching Russ closely, he absorbed lessons in leadership, work ethic, and poise under pressure. Seattle's culture rejuvenated him. He felt his passion for football return. Though he rarely saw the field, his growth off it was immense. His teammates and coaches saw the quiet transformation unfolding behind the scenes. 2 years passed mostly on the sidelines, yet Geno's determination never wavered. He practiced as if every snap mattered, understanding clearly that second chances in the NFL were precious. His mentality was unwavering. When opportunity arrived, he'd seize it. That moment came abruptly in 2021. When Wilson injured his finger, Geno stepped onto the field for the first time in years, feeling both exhilaration and urgency. His heart raced, but his mind was calm. Though he faced tough matchups, Geno played efficiently, showcasing improved decision-making and maturity. His performances reminded the league and himself that he still belonged. When Wilson returned, Geno gracefully stepped back again, but something had changed. Confidence surged through him. He'd proven to everyone, and crucially, to himself, that he was capable. His teammates noticed. His coaches praised his readiness. Geno knew that next year, the NFL might finally see the full extent of his redemption. As the 2021 season ended, rumors swirled. Seattle was considering moving on from Wilson. Geno waited quietly, hopeful yet cautious. He'd learned that nothing was guaranteed. But deep down, he sensed this was his moment, the culmination of years of resilience and relentless preparation. In March 2022, Seattle made headlines by trading franchise legend Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. Immediately, speculation began about who would step into Wilson's shoes. Geno Smith heard every doubt, every criticism, every prediction that he wouldn't measure up. But for Geno, this wasn't just a competition. It was the moment he had spent years preparing for, the moment his entire career hinged upon. Throughout training camp, Geno was meticulous. Each pass was thrown with conviction, each decision made with clarity and confidence. As the weeks passed, the coaching staff saw a different Geno Smith, calm, poised, and utterly determined. When head coach Pete Carroll announced him as the starter over Drew Lock, Geno felt both validation and pressure. He understood the gravity of the opportunity. His career had come full circle. The season opener was nothing short of poetic justice. Facing the Denver Broncos and his predecessor, Russell Wilson, Geno stepped onto the field with the eyes of the football world fixed squarely on him. Under intense scrutiny, he played brilliantly, throwing for 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, and completing 23 of 28 passes. The Seahawks emerged victorious, and Geno's iconic post-game quote echoed everywhere. "They wrote me off, but I ain't right back though." It was more than a clever phrase, it was his manifesto. With newfound momentum, Geno didn't slow down. Week after week, he orchestrated Seattle's offense with precision, breaking the franchise single-season passing yards record, previously held by Wilson himself. Geno threw for 4,282 yards, with 30 touchdowns and a league-leading completion percentage of 69.8%. Each touchdown pass felt personal, each win a testament to his resilience. By December, Geno had earned the respect of fans, teammates, and opponents alike. The Seahawks clinched a playoff berth, something few had imagined possible at the season's outset. The crowning moment came when Geno was named NFL Comeback Player of the Year. For him, it wasn't just recognition, it was redemption. It was proof that perseverance pays off, that resilience truly matters. As he walked off the field after the playoff game, despite the outcome, Geno felt something he hadn't experienced in years: genuine pride. He had rewritten his own narrative, transforming from cautionary tale to inspirational story. But deep down, he knew his journey wasn't over. His resurgence was just beginning. Following his remarkable comeback, Geno Smith entered the 2023 season with renewed expectations and a 3-year contract extension from Seattle. For the first time since his early days in New York, Geno had stability. Yet, with stability came pressure to prove that his breakout season was more than a flash in the pan. That season tested Geno in ways he didn't anticipate. Battling through physical setbacks, a knee injury early in the season, and a nagging elbow issue later, he faced adversity head-on. But Geno had learned from experience how to handle tough times. He leaned heavily on the resilience he'd forged during his years on the sidelines. Rather than breaking under the strain, he adapted, adjusting his style of play, demonstrating true veteran leadership. Even amid challenges, Geno produced impressive performances. Against the Washington Commanders in Week 10, he threw for a career-high 369 yards, engineering a last-second drive to seal a thrilling victory. Weeks later, against the Dallas Cowboys, he totaled 4 touchdowns in one game, 3 passing and 1 rushing, showing critics he was not only resilient, but still incredibly talented. 2024 brought fresh challenges. The Seahawks faced significant team struggles, especially in pass protection. Geno found himself repeatedly under pressure, absorbing 50 sacks over the course of the year. It was physically grueling, yet he never complained publicly. Instead, he rallied his teammates, elevating their play through sheer determination and unwavering confidence. That same season, Geno once again surpassed his own franchise records, throwing for 4,283 yards. Though interceptions increased to 15 due to constant defensive pressure, he led Seattle to another winning season. Selected to his 2nd consecutive Pro Bowl, Geno reinforced his place among the league's respected quarterbacks. As the 2024 season ended, Geno understood his career had reached another pivotal moment. He'd proved his comeback was real, silenced countless doubters, and inspired thousands. But the NFL's unpredictability struck again. Seattle decided it was time to move forward, sending Geno to Las Vegas in a surprising trade. Yet for Geno, it was not an ending, but the start of another chapter filled with opportunity. In March 2025, news broke that Geno Smith had been traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. Leaving Seattle, the city where he'd rebuilt his career, was bittersweet. The trade wasn't just about football, it represented change, uncertainty, and yet another chance to prove himself. He was ready. Reuniting with his former coach, Pete Carroll, now with the Raiders, gave Geno comfort amidst the transition. Carroll had always believed in Geno's potential, even when few others did. For Geno, playing for Carroll again meant trust, stability, and familiarity. It was the ideal scenario to continue proving that his late career resurgence wasn't merely a momentary spark. From his first practice with the Raiders, Geno approached the game with the same meticulous intensity that had defined his comeback. His presence was immediately felt, his work ethic contagious, his maturity respected. Younger teammates looked to him as a leader, someone whose journey offered a blueprint for perseverance. The pressure in Las Vegas was different, but equally intense. The Raiders, historically passionate yet impatient for success, demanded immediate results. Geno embraced the expectations. He understood pressure, he'd lived it, and now saw it not as a burden, but as fuel. His maturity, forged in the crucible of past disappointments, equipped him perfectly for this new challenge. The 2025 season became another test of Geno's resilience. Each game, he carried not only the Raiders' hopes, but also the ongoing weight of his personal redemption story. Yet, Geno thrived under these conditions. He performed consistently, blending veteran wisdom with youthful passion, guiding the Raiders' offense with authority. By midseason, Geno had won over fans and teammates alike. The city embraced him. The black and silver jersey became a perfect symbol of his journey. A once dismissed talent, now leading one of football's iconic franchises. But Geno knew better than anyone success was never final, and his story was still being written. Reflecting on Geno Smith's journey reveals more than just the ups and downs of a sports career. It unveils universal lessons about resilience, self-belief, and transformation. Geno's story resonates deeply, not just with football fans, but with anyone who's ever faced setbacks or been underestimated. From the heights of college stardom to the crushing depths of NFL disappointment, Geno Smith embodies perseverance. His relentless pursuit, even when circumstances seemed hopeless, highlights the power of inner strength and determination. It is proof that adversity can either define or refine you, and Geno chose refinement. His late career success challenges traditional narratives. In a league often obsessed with immediate results and quick judgments, Geno proved that patience and resilience matter. His story became a beacon for younger players, athletes across all sports, and fans alike, illustrating clearly that setbacks aren't permanent and redemption is always possible. Geno's journey from labeled draft bust to respected veteran changed perceptions. His story invites us to reconsider how we view athletes, reminding everyone that behind the jersey number lies a deeply human struggle. Geno humanized the athlete's experience, reminding us all that real heroes are those who keep fighting, keep believing, even when it hurts. Ultimately, his legacy will transcend statistics, touchdowns, and records. Geno Smith will be remembered for his resilience, his humility, and his relentless pursuit of self-improvement. His comeback, unexpected, improbable, yet undeniably inspiring, serves as a testament to perseverance, forever etched in the heart of anyone who dreams of overcoming adversity. They wrote me off, but I ain't right back though. With these words, Geno Smith didn't just summarize his journey. He created a mantra for resilience that will echo long after he stepped away from the field. Geno's incredible journey reminds us that no setback is too big for a comeback. If you felt inspired by his story, tap that like button, and if you crave more powerful stories of resilience, subscribe to the channel now. Join us and never miss another moment of inspiration.